This is the Treasure Island Baseball Network.
It's time to check in with your Minnesota Twins. Going inside the front office, the clubhouse, the minor leagues, the spotlight is on your team. Welcome to Inside Twins.
Well, welcome indeed, everyone, to Inside Twins. I'm Mark Janowski. It's our final episode of this version of Inside Twins. As come Friday, we're broadcasting spring training baseball already for you all across the Twins radio network. Good afternoon. Thanks for spending some time with us. Just last Wednesday, Twins pitchers and catchers reported to camp down in Fort Myers. Then here on Monday, the full squad was there for their first official workout. Unfortunately, things did not get off in such a great step for the Minnesota Twins. Pablo Lopez on the hill throwing a live BP. He had to come off due to some elbow soreness. MRI and imaging was done. Pablo's going to be headed for Tommy John surgery and going to miss the 2026 season. So definitely a setback for Pablo and the Twins. The starting rotation looking like a strength here in 2026. Now, some question marks in terms of the starting pitching. Also, some question marks still in the bullpen. Again, the cast of characters that we have this year, greatly different than what you saw come running through the bullpen gates last year through the first 4 months of the season, and even still slightly different than who we saw the final 2 months of 2025. One of the new arms the Twins have brought in, well, it's a new arm for the season, but it's a familiar face. It's Taylor Rogers. He signed with the squad right before Twins Fest. He's back with his original organization. He joins us live now from down in Fort Myers. Taylor, welcome to the show and welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's awesome to be back. I'm having a great time down here in Fort Myers.
Does it feel surreal, or does it feel in some way like you never were gone from the organization? Like, how has it been so far being back there with the Twins?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. Like kind of the stuff that what you remember, a little bit nostalgic at the same time, but also on the other side of things, there's a lot of things that are different as well. So just kind of juggling both, but just really excited to be back and really excited to work with Shelty and LaTroy and get ready to learn all the new faces around here.
Yeah, speaking of the new faces, is that a little bit of the first week for you, acclimation period to some of the guys?
Yeah, certainly. Just trying to see if kind of what their thoughts are on things and how it's been, and getting to know all the new guys. And Pablo and I were off to a great start. We kind of sat down right away and talked about goals for the season and how we wanted things to look, ball club, and just a tough break for him.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about that. Seeing how you brought up Pablo just happened the other day. So how are the guys processing the news that it's Pablo and that it happened so early into spring training? Yeah,
it's a bummer. I think, as you go along in the game, injuries are a part of the game. And, I know Pablo, I think it's tougher when it's in spring training because you spend all off season, building up, getting ready for the season, and then that's taken away from you. So he seems to be in good spirits. I think for us to be in his corner for the long haul, right? Like this is a year recovery. And I think if we can be there for him, in month 8, just as much as we are today, then that's where things really happen. When you're injured for that long, you kind of feel like you lose touch. So if we can keep him involved, I think that'll help the mental state.
Yeah, that is something that he just talked to us about last week on the show. But last year when he dealt with some injuries that took him away, yeah, the physical part was difficult, but it was the mental part because of being disconnected from you guys, because you guys are a family, you guys are a brotherhood for so many months out of the season that all of a sudden you lose that support staff and you can feel like you're on an island.
Right. Yeah, and it's always like you as a player that's not injured, you're like, I'm going to stay out of their way, let them do their rehab. But in reality, they just want to be a part of it as well. And there's no worse feeling than when you're the guy on the outside. And so if you can just have sympathy with that and say, you know what, let's bring him back in here. You're still a part of this, and we still like to have you around. That seems to help a little bit.
Well, you fall into that veteran role now in this second tour of duty with the Twins. So do you lean into that right now when something like Pablo going down happens? Like you can try to step in to fill a void with some of the other pitchers or other guys even in the clubhouse?
Yeah, sure. I think, veteran leadership is a funny thing. I think if you're going to come in and say right away that you're going to be a leader, to me, that doesn't really signify as you as a leader. I think those things are formed over time and they happen organically. If you're the guy that people come to in the clubhouse from time to time, then I think that's what a real leader is. If people just seek you out, I don't think you need to be getting in there right away and trying to establish yourself as a leader. I think it works better if everybody else is doing their best to be a leader, and then that way the whole group is ahead of things.
Well, playing off the term veteran and being around in your second time with the Twins, tell the fans a little bit about what's different about you from the last time we saw you in a Twins uniform in terms of pitch usage, etc.
Yeah, well, I think anybody that's gotten older can relate to this, but certainly not like what I was here. Maybe what Twins fans remember me as, but definitely more experienced. I think you end up using your head a little bit more out on the field. Rely a little bit less on talent if the talent's not quite as there as it used to be. But I still think I'm effective in the same type of ways that I was here before, with getting left-handed hitters out and just trying to be available out of the pen as much as possible for Shelty, and just try to be a good example.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Shelty, Derek Shelton. You just mentioned him at Twins Fest. You brought up a couple of they raised my eyebrows about your time, just the 2 years that Derek Shelton was a bench coach, the 1 year with Paul Molitor, the second year with Rocco Baldelli, and the interactions that you had with him back then still resonate with you today. And he's a big reason why you're back here with the team.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was kind of icing on the cake, right? Like whatever he was going to get a job, I was going to probably want to go there at some point too. So the fact that it was here in Minnesota was just the best. It's the cherry on top. I love the way he interacts with players. I love his competitive spirit. He's not afraid to show that, in team meetings or with other staff, like have a competitive spirit. I think that's a separator in this game. When you play 162 games, you have that random day game, in St. Louis, say, where it's hot out and you're going to play extra innings. How can you get your group motivated enough to swipe that particular game? And I think that's where you end up. Pete Mackey gave us a thing. If you're 6-4 every 10 games, that's 97 wins. That was the Brewers. That was the best record in baseball. They were 6-4 every 10 games. There's a difference between 5-5 and 6-4. So if we can just snag one more game a week because of Shelty's competitive nature, that's the difference in an 85 win ball team and a 97 win ball club.
I like you bringing up that competitive nature that he has and that focus and drive that he has. You also talked about how when he was here, he would seek you guys out to ask you things about how you guys were preparing the bullpen, or he was always trying to further his own education, knowing that he wanted to be a manager. And obviously, I think that's one of the things that has resonated with you and has you back here with the Twins. Has he or anybody talked to you directly about what role or how they want to use you this season?
No, and that was actually the conversation about it. Is it's entirely too early to say anything, and I would agree with that too. Like, we're still early in camp. I just threw my first live BP today, so this is my first time seeing hitters in spring. So yeah, we're entirely too early. And like I told him, if there's a role that you're looking to have me in, I need to earn that still. This is like basically this is a new team for me, so I need to come in and earn my spot, just as anybody else does.
Your first live BP today. Let's tell the fans how it went. How did it go?
Oh, it was good. Ryan Jeffers challenged the very first pitch using the new ABS system, and he won that. So it was just off the plate. Originally called a strike. Jeffers challenged, ended up being a ball. Just wrecked my rhythm right out of the gates. So we had a nice little joke about that. And then yeah, we added a couple other elements that normally aren't a part of live BPs. Normally, it's just kind of let's get your feet wet, feel the dirt, see the hitter in the box, things like that. We did real at bats, real counts. I think in the past, sometimes you just have guys come in and see some pitches. Sometimes they wouldn't even swing, things like that. Today was real at bats, real counts. And then there was another element we added with runners on base. So guys were on base, getting reads, real time reads. I think that was a thing Grady Sizemore wanted to emphasize was let's get our hitters and base runners seeing real live reads, because that's the best way to get feedback. So they were out there getting reads as well. And was good for the pitchers, because now you're checking on runners, mixing up your holds. We're looking at pitch tells. Like we're full in it. Your first live BP, and that's a change that I've seen from the past.
Yeah, you're a battery mate, Ryan Jeffers, stirring it up with you right away on your first live BP of the spring. I can see Jeffers playing that role. Another former Twin down there that you were utilizing today during your live BP, Ryan Presley. Talk about what he was doing today and how he was helping you.
Yeah. What a hire! What a hire out of Jeremy Zoll, huh? Getting Presley in here. He's been good. I think credibility goes a long way, right? So you bring a guy in the building with that resume, you just want to hear what they have to say. And obviously knowing Presley, his teammates and good friends, that was easy as a thing to start off with. So I had approached him about one of the ways he comes set with a runner on second base to hide the ball and not giving away a tip or a tell to either the base runner or the hitter or a base coach. And so he kind of walked me through his thought process with how he came set. And I just asked him to watch it for me today to see if I was going to give any tips away or any pitches away. So good feedback there. And again, that's not something that normally happens during a live BP. So it's been an accelerated process. And we got some video and I got some feedback from Presley. And, that's one of the areas of the game that is in this new wave of baseball, right? Like tips and tells, there's video, there's overlays. You can take a look at somebody's fastball and their curveball and overlay them, see if there's any type of tell or a giveaway for a hitter to see what pitch is coming. And when you talk about a 6-4 stretch versus a 5-5 stretch, one tip or tell could be the swing in that victory of a ball game, right? So we just want to make sure and tighten up the ship and make sure our things are tight before we even begin the year.
Yeah, I would think a reoccurring theme from the last couple of years was little things add up. And if you don't pay attention to the little things, they cost you games, and then cost games can add up. And unfortunately, we saw that the last couple of years. You talked about Jeremy Zoll bringing in Ryan Presley to help out with spring training right now and helping out with you. And that's a familiar face. I want to talk about another new face down in the bullpen, but it's the bullpen coach. It's LaTroy Hawkins, who, again, you were really impressed with being able to come back here with Derek Shelton as the manager. I know you're looking forward to having Hawk as your bullpen coach. Talk about how your initial interactions have been going with LaTroy.
Oh, they've been great. The interactions between LaTroy and I really haven't stopped from when he came here. He came here in Presley's role, I think, in 2015. And that's when I really kind of kicked off a relationship with him. And we just had good chats back then. And we always had chatted every spring training and then a check-in here or there through text, these type of things. I saw him at the Rickwood game a couple of years ago and we were kind of rechecked in. So he's always been a big supporter. I always want to learn from him. Obviously, the guy's got more time in the bullpen than anybody on the planet. So he's seen way more he's probably forgotten more than I've ever seen. So what a weapon to have. And I think really what I want to do now is getting to work with him is how did he prolong his career, after he'd been there for a long time. And that's what I really want to pick his brain about is, how can I take that next step when maybe physically you're diminishing a little bit? How the heck did he play for 21 years? That's what I want to know.
You feel like it's a good fit with other guys down in their pen? They're migrating towards LaTroy and what he has to offer?
Yeah, I do. I think he brings a calming presence. He's well aware of, how hectic and chaotic you can get mentally down there. And I think that calming presence that he brings is going to be good for us. And maybe like a slowing nature, where if the phone's ringing and people are calling, tend to get speed up, tend to stop breathing, and he can be a guy down there to just kind of ring you back in and say, hey, we got time. I think, like I said, credibility goes a long way. So whatever he says, you can really buy into it.
Taylor Rogers is our guest here on Inside Twins. One last question before we go to a break. And Taylor, you were talking about trying to get acclimated with new teammates again and fitting back in with the Twins. Well, there was a group outing last night. I guess you guys put down the bats and gloves and picked up the golf, the putters, and you guys had a little mini golf outing. How'd that go? Who was the best golfer, and what was your takeaway?
Yeah, that was nice. It was nice. Nice to get the group together, kind of outside of baseball, meet the families. Same thing. This is totally my fault, but I met a lot of people and forgot a lot of names. But it was nice. It was nice to meet put a family face with some of the teammates. See their kids, kind of how old the kids are. I think it's nice to have that family atmosphere, right? You can ask them how's Joey doing? He's at this age. Is he in diapers yet? How's potty training? So it's good to have that background to connect with teammates. But if we could do that again, I'd love a redo because I forgot way too many names already.
Who was the best golfer?
I don't know. I wasn't out there. They nobody brought their wallet. I was ready to bet. Nobody said they wanted to bet.
Oh, good stuff. All right, Taylor, stand pat. We will get back to you here in a second. When we come back, we're going to play Card Knack. I'm Mark Janowski. He's Taylor Rogers. You're listening to Inside Twins here on your home for Twins baseball.
Listen up, Twins fans. Want flexibility and savings with your baseball experience? Check out My Twins membership. It's free to enroll, and any ticket or ballpark purchase starts earning you rewards. Want more savings and rewards? Select a choice or reserved membership and enjoy up to 25% savings on tickets and concessions, plus no ticket fees. Become a My Twins member today at twins.com/mytwins and experience baseball your way.
Welcome back to Inside Twins. Mark Janowski in our network studios. Taylor Rogers joining me from down at Hammond Stadium in Fort Myers, and it's segment 2 of the show, Taylor, and we play a little game called Card Knack. Here's how it works. We're going to throw a card up on the screen. I'm going to also reveal some of the clues, and we ask you to take a guess in terms of who we're talking about. The caveat is the people are someone's that you've probably crossed paths with, or there's some relevancy to your baseball journey. Sound good?
Let's do it.
All right. The first guy is always a current teammate. So this guy is a current teammate with the Minnesota Twins right now. Growing up, he babysat Drake May, quarterback for the AFC champs New England Patriots. Do you have any guesses yet?
Nothing yet.
I suppose Drake May's on your downside a little bit after they beat the Broncos, right?
Yeah. So's this guy now.
Second clue. All right, there's some numbers from 23 through 25 for the Twins. You can see he's racked up 31 wins over the last 3 seasons.
Oh, man.
Clue number 3, he worked out with Taylor Rogers during some of the off seasons in Colorado.
Yeah, is this Bailey Ober?
It is Big Bailey Ober. The last one there as we fill in the stuff when he was drafted, and then the height of 6'9", which we knew would give it away. But yeah, it's Bailey Ober. That is our first clue, or our first one here in Card Knack. Talk a little bit about the big righty, the role he's going to step into a little bit this year right now with Pablo down, but Bailey also trying to rebound from a year where he just seemed to be off.
You know what? I was down here in camp like February 1st. And so was he, and he looked like he was ready to go then. So I don't think with what happened to Pablo is going to change his mindset. I think he had a different view on the year. He was focused, first week of February. So I don't think that his path is going to change, but with any outside noise going on, I think he was in a different gear from the beginning.
Yeah, Bailey's always very nice, just almost like baseline, right? Just always cool and collected, but he's a competitor and he's a bulldog and he wants to take his game to the next level. All right, 1 for 1. Let's get to card number 2 here in Card Knack. Our first clue on this one. His father and grandfather played SEC football and basketball respectively, and this player was drafted in the 8th round of the 2012 draft.
I already know this one.
Oh, go ahead.
Luke Maley.
It is indeed Luke Maley. Let's reveal the other clues that we had. There's some numbers that he put up the last couple of years. He was with the Royals here last season. He was named Mr. Baseball in Kentucky in 2009, and a guy you played with in college. What do you remember about your time with Luke?
Yeah, Luke was my college roommate. And we've crossed paths a little bit since. His grandpa, I believe it's Dick Maley. He was like the original LSU basketball stud right before Pistol Pete Maravich got there. I think Dick Maley's jersey's hanging in the rafters down at LSU.
Wow. Okay. All right. So you when you guys were roommates in college, any good stories from back then on anything you guys, any hijinks you pulled on each other?
No, we were always in the classroom. I'll just go with that.
I like it. That is a top flight.
Yeah.
That is a top flight answer right there. I like it. No controversy. Don't rock the boat. All right. 2 for 2. 2 for 2. Let's get to our final card here in Card Knack. Clue number 1. All right. Drafted in the 25th round of the 1995 draft. This lefty was drafted in the 25th round, a round that doesn't even exist now. Next clue. He played for the inaugural World Baseball Classic in 2006 for Team USA. You look at that. He had a great run with the Colorado Rockies from 2005, 2008. Some of the numbers there. He also has the Rockies franchise record with 115 career saves. Any guesses yet?
Yeah. Is this Brian Fuentes?
It is Brian Fuentes, and we pulled out this lefty because we thought, first of all, as a Rocky, when you were probably a big fan at that time, but also as a lefty, maybe you looked at him and tried to pattern part of your game after him. What do you remember about Brian Fuentes?
Yeah, I certainly remember him from the 07 team growing up, in Denver when they went to the World Series. That was cool. He was one of those guys. He was the pitcher version of like Gary Sheffield. You know how every kid in the backyard, or you grab a wiffle ball bat, you do your Gary Sheffield swing. Well, Brian Fuentes was the pitching version of that. Everybody tried to mimic his throwing motion. It looked so lackadaisical and kind of off to the side, and he threw hard that way. So yeah, we always messed around throwing like Brian Fuentes.
Yeah, and a twin for a very brief period of time at one point in time in his career. Raj, 3 for 3, a perfect job to close out Card Knack here. How's that feel?
Nice. What's the leaderboard? How are we looking so far?
Well, you're basically tied with everybody else this year at 3 for 3, but that doesn't diminish it at all. It was an outstanding performance. Hey, let's look at it this way. Let's say it was 3 up, 3 down. I want to talk into a pitcher's mindset for you. So you're coming off the hill right now after setting the side down in order.
There we go. I like the optimism.
All right. Taylor, stand pat again. When we come back, one last segment, a chance for fans to ask the lefty some questions right here on your home for Twins baseball.
Listen up, Twins fans. Want flexibility and savings with your baseball experience? Check out My Twins membership. It's free to enroll, and any ticket or ballpark purchase starts earning you rewards. Want more savings and rewards? Select a choice or reserve membership and enjoy up to 25% savings on tickets and concessions, plus no ticket fees. Become a My Twins member today at twins.com/mytwins and experience baseball your way.
It's the third and final segment of our final edition of Inside Twins here in the off-season portion of our schedule. Taylor Rogers is our guest. He's joining us live from down in Fort Myers. Time for some questions from the fans. I get the first question, and Taylor, mine is, I don't know if you remember this. It was a few years ago. A guy by the name of Aaron Judge was making his debut and coming to town the first time for the Yankees, and we were chatting with you about him, and you gave us the quote that he looks like an optical illusion when he steps into the batter's box. A, do you remember giving us that quote? And B, do you still feel that way when he strides to the plate now?
I think about that every time I see him. Absolutely. Yes. There's a couple hitters in the league that are like that. Jason Hayward at the end of his career, remember how far back in the box he was standing? Same thing. It's an optical illusion. You almost had to change everything you did just because of where they stood in the box. I don't know. If I tell people that, maybe it messes up their brains. And that's why I just keep it to myself. But I'm glad you remembered that. That was a fun conversation.
Oh, well, from the time we aired that however many years ago and every year forward, Chris Atterbury brings it up at least once a year when we're playing the Yankees or if something comes up with Aaron Judge. You have lived through you're a thread through the years on Twins Radio because that gets referenced a minimum of once a year. Now it's going to be once by me. Atterbury is going to make it twice whenever he brings that up. All right, let's see what the fans have on their minds. First one. All right. Shayla, she was actually at that first game back at Oracle after Willie Mays had passed away, and she's asking, what was it like to be a part of a celebration for one of the best to ever have played the game?
Oh, really cool. Really cool. I got to meet Willie the year before, which was great. And, what a great person. Even he wasn't doing so hot at that time, but, what a great person. He was just very, very polite and candid and asked about you. And I'm like, hey, stop asking about me. I want to hear about you. So he was awesome. And then the best part is when he had passed, I think we were just beginning a lengthy road trip. So when we got back to Oracle, it was great to kind of reconnect everything again and kind of give him the spotlight again. And then that year we did the Rickwood game, if I remember correctly. So again, it was like bring him back to the forefront of things and honor him and his career. And what a great person for the sport of baseball.
Yeah, he was truly one of the greats on and off the field. All right, let's get to our second question here. John wants to know if you're going to keep the chain as your walkout music this season.
100%. Yep.
No, not varying at all.
Nope. Never break the chain.
Well played. Well played. Same music this year. All right, let's get to another question. Okay, how is Buck this year?
You guys remember the last WBC, Trey Turner went off where he's hitting all those homers and stuff?
Yeah.
Buck is my pick to click for this year's WBC. That's my pick.
So I guess that means you're liking what you've seen from him so far down there the last week or so.
Yeah, he looks great. He's been in a great mood. Probably because I'm back. Probably gives him being me. But he's my pick to click for Team USA.
Some added inspiration right there, right? You're providing him that added oomph to go
pressure
off here during the World Baseball Classic. All right, do we have time for one more, guys? All right, John would like to know the first place you went to Minneapolis now that you're back, like a restaurant, etc.
Oh, that's easy. I'll be at Manny's. I went there right away, and I'll be there again and again. That's my favorite place. Everybody's so great there. The nicest staff. They've all been there, 25, 30 years doing what they do. And just what a great place. And I seen, it was like a Sky Mall magazine of some sort on an airplane. And it had Manny's listed as number 4 steakhouse in the U.S. So a little bit, it's a little bit low of a ranking for them. They could be 1 or 2, but, still in the top 5 is pretty good.
When you walk in, do the guys yell, Taylor? Is it like Norm on Cheers?
It depends if I blew the game or not, usually.
So in other words, they're normally in a good mood and happy to see you, so they give you a warm welcome. It looks like they want to get one more question in here. Yes or no? No, we're done with the fans. All right, that wraps up the fan questions portion of the program and the program. Taylor, it's great to have you back. It's great to see you. It's great to chat with you. I remember the bullpen banter segments over the years when you and Atterbury would chat, and just like then, you never fail with the candor and yet the great insight. So you're a welcome addition back to the whole metric, the ball club and Twins Radio.
Oh man, it's good to be back. It's good to be back on with you guys. You've always been so great as well. And I'm glad I could close out your final episode of this, so to speak.
And I'm going to lock on that phrase, closed out the final episode, as in like closing out games. I like it. There we go. Raj, take care. Have a good camp. I'll see you towards the end of March.
All right. We'll see you soon. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much. That's Taylor Rogers joining us. Again, this is the final version of this version of Inside Twins. We're going to go on a hiatus as we start broadcasting spring training baseball games, which starts Friday night when the Twins take on the Gophers down in Fort Myers. Inside Twins will be back in its normal spot on Sundays during the regular season, right before the pregame lineup card. But on behalf of Chris Atterbury, John Vitas, Andrew Halverson, Cameron Green, Lucas Kirshner, thanks for tuning in to the 7 episodes of Inside Twins. You've been listening to Inside Twins here on your home for Twins baseball.